you, Deputy Prime Minister. And now I'd like to invite the Deputy Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Now, before I move on to my speech, I would like to warn you that I'm not a game addict. Whatever I say is because, well, people informed me. It's not based on personal experience. Now, moving on directly onto the rebuttals and then the constructive case of the opposition side. Now, before I move on to the constructive case, I would like to provide today's rebuttals. I've classified my rebuttals into three categories. First is to clarify and ask for clarification. And number two, I'll talk about the contradiction the government side has made. And then number three, move on to the wrong analysis the government has continuously made. So number one, clarification. Well, Mr. Speaker, it seems that the government side does not clearly understand the opposition's model. We are basically providing counseling, which is basically having hospital hours. You visit the hospital, talk with the doctor, what you think is a problem, and then you have mental counseling. It's practically what we do with drug addicts. It's practically what we do with alcohol addicts in the status quo already, so I don't really think it's that difficult anymore. Now, moving on to the question, a point that they need to clarify. So they have to clarify how their model will solve the problem, basically because they just said that, well, we're going to limit the time to play online games, and then suddenly, magically, all the problems they have proposed will disappear. What is the link? No, thank you. Please speak up a little bit. No, sorry. Anyways, and then, now, moving on to the contradiction that they made. Well, they talked about suicide, and Mr. Speaker, well, let's take a look at the scope of the policy that they're trying to implement. They're trying to implement a policy that will influence practically all the users of online games. Now, the question is, how many people commit suicide or kill because of online games? It is an extreme minority of people, so you're basically implementing a majority influence policy for a minority. We say that our model tackles these minority, or even the people, if they are a majority, who need the counseling. The counseling is quite simple. It is either requested by the parents because they're talking about the children. Usually the parents get concerned, so they ask for counseling. Or by the individual himself or herself, or the people around them. We will provide them with mental counseling. That is basically what we're going to tell you. No, thank you, ma'am. And they also talked about the social harm, and if there's social harm, the government can stop it. Well, Mr. Speaker, then why is the government practically not stopping everything on the internet, especially regarding pornographic sites, etc., when there is an existing social harm? No, thank you, sir. It's because you have to weigh the harm and benefits. The benefits of stopping it and the harm or the infringement of rights that it brings. Just simply having a harm doesn't mean that you can limit it. And yes,
isn't government already providing regulation of pornography sites? I think that's socially harmful in that current status quo.
How is it that I can watch Yahoo practically whenever I want? Once again, this is not my personal experience, it's what the people tell around. Moving on to the wrong analysis the government has made. Well, the government practically said that, well, reality confusion will be stopped if you do not play the game. Well, Mr. Speaker, we tell you, people daydream about the games. People plan what they will do in their precious time. If you only have 2 hours of gameplay time, well, you plan for the previous 6 to make sure that you use the time effectively. You'll talk with your friends, you'll talk online, you go to individual, fan club sites and do etc. and do research about the internet game. It doesn't mean that, well, not being able to access the game itself doesn't mean that you'll not play the game and you'll not have a reality confusion. It doesn't mean that you'll go outside and talk with your friends, and no thank you, ma'am. Also, well, they said that we have to preempt the addiction. Well, Mr. Speaker, does that mean that the government has the duty or even the legal possibility to preempt everything that has a potential of being addictive? Does that mean that we can prevent cigarettes, drugs, or even debate? It's quite addictive. We say that's not possible. We say, well, we can cure the addiction, no thank you, but it doesn't mean that we can prevent people from doing it just because there is a potential addiction. Now, moving on to the opposition's case today, I have 2 additional arguments. The first is that it'll increase cash trading black market. Now, number 1, currently the Korean government, what is it doing? It is on a war against the cash trading system, or the cash trading sites. Basically, the legal foundation is because cash trading is illegal. Mr. Speaker, it is directly stated in the license that you check plugin or whatever you want when you log into the computer game. It says that all property belongs to the company. So cash trading in its foundation is basically selling or trading something you don't even own, which is illegal under the current status quo, especially in Korea. So why does cash trading increase, and then why is that bad? Well, basically, people will only have a limited time to play games. Well, just like in the real world, in the online game, no thank you sir, I'm talking about games. Anyways, Well, you have to earn money in order to be able to spend it. To earn money, you have two options. You can either pay cash, or you can you can spend your time killing goblins, I don't know, mining, and then doing those productive things so that you can earn your money. No, thank you. And anyways, so, however, the thing is, people earn what they want, the zeal, if you want, in playing games when they actually when they get good items or get a brilliant sword, and everyone says, wow, that's cool. And before I move on to details, yes?
So how does rehabilitation somehow prevent this damaging cash trading problem that you raised?
Well, basically, it's that we're saying that your model does not prevent this, and your model is practically irrelevant to solving the status quo or the problem existing. Well, we say that we have identified the problem, which is the minority of people that you can see committing suicide will be solved within the status quo, and we say there are more harms in your model. That's what I've been talking about. So, basically, people will since they cannot invest more time, they'll have to use their cash. As the demand of these items in the cash market will increase, well, the equilibrium price or equilibrium quantity traded within that market will increase, meaning that there will be an increase in cash trade. So why is this bad? Well, first of all, it is an incentive for people to do something that is illegal, trading something that you do not own. Number two, it is also bad for the company itself. Our brilliant Prime Minister told you the business model of the gaming industry, it's more time and more players. If people see a lot of cash trading, well, they will feel adverse discrimination, or they'll feel deprived because, well, someone like the son of Igoni has a cool ass sword because, well, he has, I don't know, a lot of money, and I can't get that sword because I only have limited time, not enough cash, so why should I play the game in the first place when I can't even catch him up? The reason why you play games is because you can achieve something you can't. That is why the minority, the poor people, play games, because they can be rich in there, but now you can't even be rich in games. Why would they play it in the first place? Less users, less income, bad for the company. Not only bad for the company, but also bad for the society as well. So, now moving on to our last argument, which says that their model, or the policy, or whatever, the motion today, is not going to be effective. Now, Mr. Speaker, the problem is heavily addicted players that'll do everything to continue playing this game. Today in the status quo, what is the logging on system in online games? Basically, you have to sign in with the 주민등록번호 social security code, and then you create an ID, and then you log in. So everything is based on a social security code. What we can do is you can acquire multiple social security codes, something that we all know is practically possible, and we all know that we have a few. Anyways, in the status quo. So they can create multiple IDs by one, creating multiple characters with one account, or number two, creating multiple accounts in the first place with different social security numbers. So, let's take a look at the example of the famous Korean game Dungeon and Fighter. Don't know why I know that, but anyways, that has the stamina system and the status quo. Well, in that game, many people, practically everyone, have second, third, and fourth characters, so it has nothing to do with decreasing the time you play online games. We're proud to oppose.
내가 여자를 나한테 왜 그래, 누나?